In this video, you will see what is the top 10 must-have units in Update 16. Every units in this video are all obtainable and not from trading. I do want to know what you think is the best unit in this Update 16, and remember to subscribe and like. And with that being said, in no particular order, the first must-have unit is Demiurge Demon Emperor. Demiurge is one of the newest units added in this Update 16, and Demiurge is actually the first burn ground unit that will be able to hit air enemies at later upgrades. Oh my god, super pog. Demiurge Demon Emperor stats at max upgrade and max level are 159,138.28 damage with his burning, doing 63,655.31 over 4 ticks with his SPA at 12 seconds, making his damage per second at 18,566.13 with burn. At later upgrades, Demiurge will be able to hit air enemies, which will be very useful in portal grinds, legend stages grinds, since you won't be struggling as much against air enemies at later waves. Especially this Demiurge does burning damage, which having Mangekyo Eye Relic equipped on Demiurge will be the best relic equipped on him. Yes! How to evolve Demiurge is by defeating the brand new undead home legend stages, which you will have to continuously grind multiple of the legend stages. Especially you will be needing 10 of each overlord ring, blue, red, and yellow. Demiurge Demon Emperor damage types are magic and fire. Alright, next unit is Usopp God. Usopp is still the best boss killer in this Update 16. Especially he is a hybrid unit on placements, which means he will be able to attack both air and ground enemies. Usopp's God stats at max upgrade and max level are 414,182.93 damage with his SPA at 5 seconds, making his damage per second at 82,836.59, which is the highest damage and damage per second unit in this game currently. Hog! Usopp God is extremely overpowered for Infinity Castle, so I recommend getting Usopp God, especially he will be able to carry early waves in any sort of maps. Usopp God attack type is true damage, which he will ignore yellow shield and be insanely good for Infinity Castle as it will ignore resistance. Okay, next unit is Shalltear Bloodfallen. Shalltear is one of the newest units added in this Update 16, and she became the best leading amplification unit. Especially she has a better DPS and AoE size than Power Fiend. Shalltear stats at max upgrade and max level are 111,829 damage with his SPA at 8 seconds, making her damage per second at 13,978.67. On placement, Shalltear will be able to make bleeding damage 5 times more, which is insanely strong, especially pairing her with Guts Berserk, and Shalltear is going to be extremely useful for leaderboard runs, tournaments, and many more. So I highly recommend to be careful trading for Power Fiend, since Shalltear is better than Power in this Update 16. How to evolve Shalltear is by defeating the brand new undead Tome legend stage, which you will have to continuously grind multiple of the legend stages. Especially you'll be needing 10 of each overlord ring, blue, red, and yellow. Shalltear's Bloodfallen damage types are physical and rose. Alright, next unit is Oceano. Oceano is one of the most overpowered support unit in this Update 16. Especially Oceano will buff your units by 15% damage and makes the upgrade cost 20% less, which is insanely good. You can place Oceano anywhere in the map and your units will still be buff. Oceano's passives only works on you and not other teammates. Pairing Oceano with farms will make it cheaper for you to upgrade your farms, and not just making your farms cheaper, but also making your other units upgrade costs less, which will be valuable in short maps like story mode, Infinity Castles, portals, and many more. Alright, next unit is Roger Pirate King. Roger is the best ground unit with his overpowered passive, and Roger is currently the best DPS in this Update 16. Poggers! Roger Pirate King stats on max upgrade and max level are 298,614 damage with his SPA at 5 seconds, making his damage per second at 59,722.8, which is insanely strong. Especially Roger is the current best DPS in this Update 16. What makes Roger extremely strong is that placement. He will be able to stun ground enemies for a few seconds. How to get Roger Pirate King is through opening the brand new summer 2023 capsules, where there is a tiny chance for the capsule to drop Roger. So good luck to everyone who is trying to get Roger Pirate King, and I definitely suggest trying to get him because he is a limited to secret unit. So if you're a collector, then try to get him. Yeah. Roger Pirate King's damage types are physical and fire. Okay, next unit is Narbera Battle Maid. Narbera is one of the newest units added in this update 16, and she became one of the best heal units, especially she has more damage per second than Metal Knight Arsenal. Narbera Battle Maid stats a max upgrade and max level, and max upgraded Oshi is 187,684 damage with her SPA at 6 seconds, making her damage per second at 31,280.66, which is one of the most overpowered damage per second, especially for a heal unit. The best trait you can get on Narbera Battle Maid is unique, as she is at 3 placement. How to evolve Narbera is by defeating the brand new Undead Tome Legend stage, which you will have to continuously grind multiple of the legend stages, especially you will be needing 10 of each overlord ring, 10 of blue, 10 of red, and 10 of yellow. Narbera Battle Maid's damage types are Magic and Storm. Alright, next unit is Guts Berserk. Guts Berserk is one of the most overpowered unit with his extremely overpowered full AoE, and overall one of the best ground unit, as well as he will be able to hit both air and ground enemies at later upgrades in this update 16. Yippee! Guts Berserk stats a max upgrade and max FLR, 326,850 damage with his SPA at 12 seconds, making his damage per second at 27,237.5, which is insanely strong, especially Guts is a full AoE and will be able to hit air enemies at later upgrades. Guts also does an addition of 25% bleeding in 4 ticks, which is the best tick you can have on a bleeding unit. And pairing him with Shalltear will be the most overpowered combo, bro. How to evolve Guts to Guts Berserk is by defeating the new Eclipse portal, which can be obtained through the Win Him Infinite mode, which is incredibly easy, especially the map is quite huge, so you can place further back if you are playing solo. Guts Berserk's damage types are physical and fire. Okay, next unit is Stain Hero Slayer, who is still one of the best DPS ground unit in this update 16, since the ability that he will get at later upgrades is extremely overpowered. Stain Hero Slayer stats a max upgrade and max FLR, 91,870 damage with his SPA at 5.6 seconds, making his damage per second at 16,405.35, which is insanely strong. How Stain Slayer Hero works with his ability is whenever Blood Curdle is activated, Stain's damage will deal 3 times more damage to every bleeding enemy inside his range. The ability can crit 4.5 times of Stain's current damage, as well as it stuns enemies for 2 seconds. And his ability is not a global ability, which technically you can spam the ability. Although there is a 10 seconds cooldown on enemies who have been affected by the ability, and the ability cooldown is 20 seconds. Yeah! Stain Hero Slayer will be extremely good when pairing with bleeding units, especially Guts Berserk, who is one of the most overpowered unit in this update 16, where he will be able to hit air enemies at later upgrades, making Stain Hero Slayer the best unit comboed with Guts Berserk. Stain Hero Slayer's damage types are physical and dark. Okay, next unit is Ainz Overlord. Ainz Overlord is one of the newest units added in this update 16, and he is one of the best ground unit, as he will be able to hit both air and ground enemies, especially he will become a full AoE, and at the same time, Ainz spawns a summoner unit which will deal 1,725,762.19 damage at max upgrade, which is insanely strong. Oh my goodness, Ainz. Ainz Overlord stats a max upgrade and max FLR, 345,152.44 damage with his SPA at 10 seconds, making his damage per second at 34,515.24, which is one of the most overpowered damage per second, especially he will be able to hit both air and ground enemies at later upgrades and becomes a full AoE. How to get Ainz is by awakening the Overlord staffs after sacrificing 3 evolved mythical units from Overlord. How to evolve Ainz Overlord is by defeating the brand new undead home legend stage, which you will have to continuously grind multiple of legend stages, especially you'll be needing 10 of each overlord ring, blue, red, and yellow. And his damage types are magic and dark. Okay, next unit is Metal Knight Arsenal. Metal Knight is still one of the best heal units, especially he has an insane multi-hit and summons drones in this update 16. Metal Knight Arsenal stats are max upgrade and max LR, 129,881 damage with his SPA at 6.1 seconds, making his damage per second at 21,291.96. Remember that Metal Knight Arsenal can only be placed down twice, making unique trait the best trait on this unit. The drones will deal half of Metal Knight's damage, and at later upgrades, Metal Knight will become a multi-hit which will do well against shield enemies. You will be needing takedowns for Metal Knight to spawn his drones, and there's a tracker at the back on how many takedowns he has. To fully max upgrade one Metal Knight Arsenal will cost you 118,250 yen, and his damage types are magic and storm. An alternative unit you can go for instead of Metal Knight Arsenal is Fuji Admiral. Fuji is still the best physical heal unit and the strongest heal unit in this update 16, especially with his 2-hit at placement, making him great against shield enemies and overall one of the best heal units. Fuji Admiral stats are max upgrade and max level are 157,205.43 damage with his SPA at 11 seconds, making his damage per second at 14,291.4, which makes Fuji Admiral the best physical heal unit and overall the best heal unit, especially with how cheap he is to max upgrade with insane damage, and one of the best shield breaker heal unit as he is a 2-hit at placement and will do multi-hit at later upgrades. Fuji Admiral costs 66,500 yen to max upgrade one single Fuji Admiral, and his damage types are physical and dark. Okay, next unit is Poseidon, Tyrant of the Seas. Poseidon is one of the best ground unit with his full AoE and will be able to hit both air and ground enemies at later upgrades. Poseidon, Tyrant of the Seas stats at max upgrade and max level are 339,342 damage with his SPA at 9.1 seconds, making his damage per second at 37,290.32, which is one of the best damage per second, especially he is a multi-hit which will do well against shield enemies. How to get Poseidon, Tyrant of the Seas is by defeating the new secret Tyrant of the Seas secret portal, which you can obtain through defeating the summer portal. Poseidon's damage types are physical and aqua. Alright, next unit is Griffith Ascension. Griffith is one of the most overpowered unit and even better than Dio over Heaven himself, with Griffith's extremely overpowered passive in this update 16. Griffith Ascension stats are max upgrade and max level are 20,711 damage with his SPA at 6.3 seconds, making his damage per second at 3,287.46. You might be wondering why he has such a low stats. Well, it is because you have to sacrifice units. If you sacrifice buff units, Griffith will turn into Griffith Reincarnation, where it will buff your units by 100%, and you can stack your buff with Griffith Reincarnation, which is incredibly overpowered, which can be used in the brand new tournament in this update 16. If you sacrifice mythic units, secret units, legendary units, epic units, rare units, Griffith Ascension will become a full AoE DPS unit, which is the most overpowered unit in anime adventures, even better than Dio over Heaven, which is insanely strong. Do keep in mind that Griffith doesn't have a cap, making it insanely overpowered, so I definitely recommend trying to get your Griffith's damage to 300 plus damage before you transform him, because it will be broken for Griffith to have such an insane amount of damage, with him being a full AoE and multi-hit, which will be great against shield enemies. Griffith's buffs is based on the cost of the units, which if you have maxed out the units, it will give more percentage of damage before Griffith transforms. Alright, next unit is Law Room. Law is still one of the best ground and support unit in this update 16. Law is also extremely overpowered to bring in Infinity Castle, not only because his ability, but how surprisingly cheap he is to max upgrade, which will be useful in Infinity Castle, leaderboard runs, and many more. Law Room stats at max upgrade and max level are 150,141 damage with his SPA at 5.9 seconds, making his damage per second at 25,000 for 147.62, which is insanely good for a support unit as he has an ability at placement called Shamble, where when activated, the enemies will be teleported back, which is insanely strong as he is a better Lulu. And that means Floor Room will be valuable in Infinity Castle and leadable runs with his Shamble ability. The Shamble ability affects air, ground enemies, and bosses, which is insanely good. Floor Room is incredibly easy to evolve as you just have to continuously defeat the puppet portal, which are easy to defeat even if you are soloing the portal. The best trait you can have on Floor Room is unique, as he is a 3 placement, and alternative traits you can have on him is Sniper, so he will be able to teleport back more enemies with his huge range. Floor Room's damage types are Magic and Aqua.